Guys, this is the walkthrough for the 2012 Macroeconomics AP exam multiple choice. Let's start off. A country's government runs a budget deficit in a given year. So budget deficit is just when spending is greater than taxes. So let's look for that. A is not that. B is that. And let's move on to number 2, a high marginal propensity to consume. So let's say 0.9 is your MPC. That means your MPS is 0.1. And E is actually very simple answer. None of these have anything really to do with marginal propensity to consume. So E is just the easiest answer right there. Okay, so the transaction demand for money is very closely associated with money's use of store value, standard unit of account, measure of value. So we can just cross out measure of value and standard of deferred payment. Those aren't associated with money, or at least the things that you learn, but these three are SMM. Or SSM, sorry. So unit of account, store value, or medium of exchange. So transaction demand, that's trading money for, let's say, an orange instead of trading an apple for an orange in a barter economy. So that's going to be D. You're using the money as the transaction fee. So unlike A, market economy, command economy is basically run by government and everything is owned by the government, whereas market economy is private ownership or private business. Okay, so let's find which one does that. Popular vote, nope. Command economy is the opposite, and these three don't seem like they show anything related to an economy. Command versus market. More centralized planning is basically government. So the value of a country's currency will tend to appreciate. Let's just try all these. Demand for the country's exports increase. So this is a forex market. So if the demand for the country's exports increases, then the demand for their currency increases, which means their currency appreciated. So A is going to be the answer there. Pretty easy one. If it wasn't that one, you just go through all the other ones. But A seemed to give us the right answer. Okay, number 6. Which of the following best illustrates an improvement in the country's standard of living? Standard of living is usually associated to real something and then per capita something. If you see those words in it, that's probably what it is. Say a nominal, no. Price, no. BB, no. CPI, nothing to do with it. And then there's that real and GDP. So that's number 6. Hyperinflation is typically caused by what? So high tax rates that discourage work effort. This would not be hyperinflation. Continuous expansion of the money supply. Yep. So really what hyperinflation is associated with the money supply. So that's going to be your right answer here. And the key word here is the budget deficit. That is what inherently creates inflation. And then continuous expansion of that is that hyper portion of hyperinflation. So 8 here, all of the following changes will shift the investment demand curve to the right, except, so investment demand, we can just say that's the aggregate demand curve, and then which one of them is not a part of that. So a decrease in the corporate income tax, that's tax that would do something to investment. Productivity of capital goods, that would also do something. Real interest rate would decrease AD, right? These would all increase AD. The key thing to memorize here is that when the real interest rate goes up, or real interest rate, or interest rate in general goes up, then aggregate demand goes down. Okay, and this is because investment goes down. So this shifts it to the left, and it's asking to the right. So 8 is going to be C. The official unemployment rate understates the unemployment level in the economy because the official unemployment, it's going to be something to do with discouraged workers, because they aren't even counted as unemployed, even though they don't have a job. So there's that discouraged workers and underemployed. All that means is people have not full work weeks. So if you're working like a part-time job, you are still counted as a fully unemployed person, not half a person. Okay, number 10. So if a reduction in aggregate supply is followed by an increase in aggregate demand, so this is just simply draw it out. So here we have PL, Y, we can put it as, and then our, I'm not going to write AD, SRAS, useless, just to save you time. So reduction in aggregate supply, so now we're here, and then an increase in aggregate demand. So now if on the dot, go this way, boom, so we're there. So we went from here to here. So we increase Y, increase Y, and then the PL, I know it doesn't look like it on mine, but it is indeterminate, which means it didn't change, or it may have changed, but it changed very minimally, and we don't actually know that amount. So output will increase, or sorry, not price levels indeterminate. I have this mixed up. It's the opposite. So PL 100% went up, but the Y is indeterminate. Okay, so output will increase or decrease, will not change. We don't know for sure what output actually does, so you can cross out all of them. We do know for a fact that the price level will increase. Sorry about that. Okay, so which of the following combinations of changes in government spending and taxes is expansionary? So expansionary, I'm just going to look at government spending. That means increase in government spending, and then taxes decrease. So increase, decrease. There it is, 11B. The amount of money that the public wants to hold in the form of cash. Okay, so this is the money demand graph or money market. Okay, so you have your MS, MDIR, okay, and then the, I guess, quantity of money you can call it. So it's directly the money demand, right? We're talking about the money that the public wants to hold in the form of cash. That is money demand. That's this line right here. So what directly influences that is the price level, okay? So you need to know that it's the price level, but it can also be interest rates. So it definitely is affected, so we can cross out that one. And now we just find which one it really is. So increase if interest rates increase. So if interest rates increase, let's say we're up here, or we went from here to up here. We were holding a lot of money, and now we're holding not a lot of money. So it's not that. Let's get rid of what we just drew. Decrease if the interest rates decrease. Well, it's the opposite, so obviously this one is true. So we can circle it, but just to show you on the graph what that looks like. So if we're here, the money demand is here. Let's say, I don't know, we'll just label it 4. I don't really know what that means, but we just label it 4. If the interest rate decreases to this, then we are here on the money demand. And they will hold, let's say 6. So the amount of money that they want to hold is going to decrease. At 13, for an economy consisting of households and businesses only. Which of the following is most consistent with the circular flow model? So circular flow model, it's all about who's supplying resources, who's demanding resources. So for an economy consisting of households and businesses, households are producers of the resources and suppliers of the resources, and then producers or buyers of the goods. So which one of these show it? Households are producers of goods. That's just not true. Households are users of resources, and businesses are sources of saving. Nope. Households are suppliers of resources, check, and consumers of goods and services. That's 13C, and one's pretty easy. With an increase in the real interest rate, consumption and real GDP will most likely move in which way? So you need to know this, right? This is the key here. If real interest rate or nominal interest rate or anything, but real interest rate has the most effect in the long run because of capital formation and crowding out. So if the real interest rate goes up, what does this do? It decreases investment, which decreases the aggregate demand curve, which inherently, in theory, decreases all of the sig and x, even though it doesn't actually. That's what you have to think of it as. So now we have a decrease in consumption and then an increase in our GDP. So we're looking for a decrease, increase, except real GDP would not go up. It would decrease. Little mistake there. Caught it though. Decrease in AD, obviously. We can just draw it out. DS, pop, pop, pop. We go backwards. So yeah, 14 is D there. According to the short run Phillips curve, SRPC, lower inflation rates are associated with, so I'm gonna just draw it down here, swap colors. This is the SRPC, says RPC, and then inflation and unemployment. Okay, so if we're looking at it, according to the SRPC, lower inflation rates are associated with what? Higher unemployment rates. That is just on the graph. We can look here for high inflation. We have low unemployment, and if we have low inflation, we have high unemployment. So 15 is going to be A there. Let's go back to green. 16. Which of the following will lead to a decrease in the nation's money supply? Okay, so let's write these out for you because you need to know these three. So we have the discount window rate, required reserve ratio, and OMO, which is buying and selling of bonds, government bonds. So decrease in the money supply, I always think of that as sort of a good thing, because if you look at the money supply, I always think of it as a bad thing, because if you decrease the money supply, it increases interest rate, which decreases AD, which I always think in my head is a bad thing, even though it's really not, if you want to think of it like that as. So if you're decreasing the money supply, that's bad. So you basically increasing this, and OMO, you would have to sell bonds. There's no really increase or decrease with that. So 16 is going to be D, because that's one of the things that we wrote down here. And then just so you guys know, ink in the money supply is a good thing, right? It increases AD, but that would be a decrease in discount window rate, decrease in RRR, and you buy bonds. You'll see this one on FRQs, so know that. All right, let's go back to green. An increase in which of the following would cause the AD curve to shift to the left? So one of these things decreased. So consumer optimism is not part of that, not a part of that, not a part of that. This is a part of that, income taxes, because that directly influences consumption. Which of the following changes in the supply of and the demand for a good will definitely result in a decrease in both the equilibrium okay, so decrease in price and quantity. So this is the easiest question. If you know decrease, all it is just demand goes down. So nothing changes with supply, so no change for supply, and then a decrease in demand. I personally have all of those things memorized where it asks if price level goes up and the quantity remains intermediate. I know what happens to supply and demand. Most people don't have all of that stuff memorized, which is completely fine. You would just have to play around with them. I recommend going from A, C, E. You try an increase in supply, try a no change in supply, and try a decrease in supply. And then if none of those are right, obviously try a B and D. But I would say try week 1 increase, 1 no change, and then 1 decrease. So try some different responses if you are planning on testing out every answer. Okay, so 19 here. Which of the following is true if RRR is 10? Okay, so the required reserve ratio is 10. Let's just look at the answers. Why is it? Okay, whatever, sorry. Bank A has no excess reserves. Bank A has no excess reserves is we're gonna use our calculator for this. So 0.10 of 5K is 500. So they're holding an extra 500 because they only need to hold 500 and they're holding 1,000 for some reason. So they do have excess reserves. Bank B has no excess reserves. Okay, well 0.5 times, or 0.10, my bad, times 600 is obviously 60. They're holding 100. So they only need to hold 60, so they also have excess reserves. Bank B can increase its loans by 100. That is not true. They can only increase the loans by 40 because we said that this can be 60, so 40 would go there. So that's not true. Bank B can increase by 40. That's what we just said. So 19 is going to be D. Okay. Which of the following will most likely lead to a decrease in inflationary expectations? This is literally just asking basically what would lead to a decrease in inflation. So I actually know that most likely it's going to be something related to the money supply. So let's try that money supply question. It's saying a decrease in this. So that would increase NIR, which would decrease AD. We should know that relationship. A decrease in AD would decrease PL, which is, remember, PL is equal to inflation. So 20 is going to be C there. If you know the relationship of what's going to affect what, you're going to find that you'll know which answer to test out and then therefore get the answer quicker. Time isn't really on your side on the test. Get an hour and I believe 10 minutes for 60 questions, so you gotta kind of run through them pretty quickly. Things like that bank one, number 19, I think it was, take kind of a lot of time because you have to test out every answer. But things like that wouldn't, or fairly quickly. You can do very, very quickly. Okay, so with an upward sloping SRAS, increasing government expenditure, so increasing government spending increases demand. So, I mean, C is just obvious, right? Pick always the most simple answer. If it seems like it's dumb, like that marginal propensity to consume one, a high means a low MPS. Like, that seems like a dumb question because it's very obvious, but those are the questions that they're trying to give you. Like, this was one where they're just giving it to you basically for free. Which of the following are the most likely show an effects of an increase in government expenditure? So we just drew this graph out. This is that, and we see an increase in PL, increase in Y. And guys, remember Y equals income equals employment and equals output. Okay, so immediately, if we're going here, we know that the output increased, so real GDP increased. So we can only cross off one there. I'm going backwards because I try to think I can play the test out and sort of game it, but sometimes it doesn't work. Inflation rate. PL equals the inflation rate. Okay, it increased. So we can cross out this and this. So we're now left with A and C. Unemployment rate is the opposite of employment. So if employment went up, unemployment went down. So 22 is going to be C. 23 in the short run, an expansionary monetary policy would most likely result in what? Okay, so monetary policy. Gotta know this. Monetary, money supply, shifters of the money supply. Remember DWR, RRR, and OMO. Okay, expansionary fiscal is taxes and spending. If you don't know that, that's the basic, econ principle. So, expansionary monetary policy. Why did I draw that graph? It's like this. Decrease in nominal interest rate, which would increase AD, which would increase PL and increase Y. So increase. A reduction in inflation can best be achieved by which of the following combinations of fiscal and monetary policy? Okay, so I actually know these off the top of my head because I memorized it. But a reduction in inflation is essentially, you can think of it just as a decrease in demand, right? Yeah, you could think of it as an increase in supply. So we could think of that too. Let's just to show you that also decreases inflation, right? So either we're looking for a decrease in demand or an increase in supply. So increased taxes does decrease demand, and selling government bonds does decrease demand. So that's a check. I saw it instantly. I was like, that's right. Decrease taxes, nope. Decrease government spending, wrong. Increase government spending, correct. Raise discount window rate, wrong. Raising the discount window rate would decrease 80. Also, I don't know why I said yes to increase government spending. That does not decrease or increase inflation. Or that does not decrease inflation, it increases inflation. Sorry. So A is your right answer. 25. Which of the following is likely to occur following the depreciation of the US dollar? So we can just, okay. So this is actually one of those questions. You have to know the pattern that comes after it. So you really need to drill this into your head. I'm not going to write it out. I'm just going to say it. Okay. So listen. If our currency depreciated, that means our purchasing power has decreased because our currency is now less valuable than let's say France's currency. That's who we're in a trade with. So France's currency is now more valuable, you could say. They are going to start buying more from us because our goods are cheaper, because they can buy our goods for a cheaper price because their currency appreciated. So what does that mean? They're going to buy more from us, or we're going to buy less from them because our PLs are cheaper or less. So that means our exports will increase, which means NX increase, which means AD increased. So United States exports will increase right there. Need to know that pattern. That is going to be on an FRQ for Forex. The table below shows the production alternatives of that and that, and then that and that. Okay, so this is an output problem. And I actually never drew these tables with zeros, so I'm going to get rid of that. And honestly, I'm just going to redraw it because this is not how usually I looked at it. Okay, so 24, 45, 12, and 15. So this is the equation. O for output. Output, the other goes over. So output, the other number goes over. So 12 over 24, 1/2. Output, the other goes over, it's the reciprocal. Output, the other goes over, 15 over 45, 1/3, reciprocal 3. Now, look down the computers column, see which number is less. This number is less. 1/3 is less than 1/2. So circle that. See which number is less over here. 2. Okay? So computers can produce, country B can produce computers for cheaper. Country A can do cars for cheaper. So country A is absolute advantage, and the comparative advantage in computers, wrong. By the way, just for clarification, absolute advantage, who can absolutely produce more? Who can absolutely produce more computers? Country B. Who can absolutely produce more cars? Country B. So country B is the absolute advantage and comparative advantage in printing computers. Last time I checked, that is true in both cases. We can look here. They can produce absolutely more computers, 45 to 24, and they can produce it for 1/3 of a computer rather than 1/2 of a computer. So they can do it for cheaper. 27. Which of the following individuals is considered officially unemployed? So Chris, who has not worked for more than 3 years, and has given up looking for work. So this guy is not even, he's unemployed, but he's not counted in the unemployment rate. So you actually can't circle that. Kim, who's waiting to go to school full time and is waiting until graduation before looking for a part-time job. Nope. Frictional. Bat, who recently left a job to look for another job in town. There you go. He's frictionally unemployed. Temporary. And he's officially unemployed. 28. An increase in net investment leads to faster economic growth because capital per worker will increase because net investment increase, and the output per worker will therefore increase. So 28 is A. If a country's economy is operating below full employment, so we can draw that in. So just chalk the LRES there, and now you're in below full employment. We can label this YF as well. Okay. So it's operating below the full employment level of output at a very low inflation rate. Central bank of the country is most likely to, okay, obviously it's going to be expansionary. So expansionary. This is expansionary. Lower the RRR and sell bonds, no. Oh, that would very, yeah, okay, and then raise discount window, obviously that's not right. So which one now? The central bank. So this is key, right? Central bank is what? Monetary policy. So if you see fiscal, exit out. So it's A or C. Pursue expansionary monetary policy because it is required to do so by law whenever output, like what? That doesn't even make sense. Required to do so, like no. So we know it's C, but why is it C? Lower DWR, which increases AD, which is what we want to get us out. And buy bonds also increases AD. So there you go. Assume that an economy is currently in long-run equilibrium and the SRAS curve is upward sloping, an adverse, so bad supply shock or a decrease will most likely cause which of the following to the economy in the short run? So increase in PL and decrease in Y, so stagflation. So decrease in the price level, no. Decrease in the price level, no. Increase in the price level, and increase in the nominal wage. So this is key because they're asking about the nominal wage. And we all know that increase in price level is right. So we can just cross out this because we know that's right. So is the nominal wage increasing or is the real wage increasing? So these things, supply shocks such as a drought, that is going to affect your real wage. If the suppliers have basically just lost almost everything, all their factories and stuff, they have no money coming in. So guess what? You're going to get paid less. So your real wage is going to go down. Okay, those are the first 30 questions for the 2012 Macroeconomics AP exam MCQ. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming out soon, and it should be linked in the description for you guys to continue.